Normally, I don't read this many verses, but I want to kind of talk through this story. So just bear with me, help me out. We're going to get through this together. We're going to see what God has in store for us. So no competition or anything, but the second service was really hungry for the word. So third service, step your game up. Anyways, just kidding. I'm just kidding. Y'all had plenty of time to get the Red Bull and the Starbucks flowing in your system, okay? So 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 8. One day Elisha went to Shunammite, and a well-to-do woman was there who urged him to stay for a meal. So whenever he came by, he stopped there to eat. She said to her husband, I know that this man who often comes our way is a holy man of God. Let's make a small room on the roof, put in it a bed, a chair, a table, a chair, and a lamp for him. Then he can stay there whenever he comes to us. I don't know if you have been raised in this fashion, or maybe you know of someone that's very hospitable, that loves hosting people, but my mom is just like this woman. My mom, if you get the privilege of staying at my parents' house, you'll find yourself in this guest bedroom where it looks like straight out of Martha Stewart's magazine. I mean, the sheets are beautifully folded down. You'll have this silver platter. Abe knows what I'm talking about. You'll have this silver platter with a mini travel size mouthwash, lotion, hairspray, a toothbrush. I mean, it's like you're staying at a 5-star hotel. My mom loves to take care of people. And I kind of get jealous because, they get the 5-star treatment and I never got any of that ever. So I was like, do you not love me? Kind of questioning her, but it's okay. It's just something that I'm processing through now. But verse 11. One day Elisha came. He went up to his room and lay down there. He said to his servant Gehazi, call the Shunammite. He called her. She stood before him. Elisha said to her, tell her, you have gone to all this trouble for us. Now, what can be done for you? Can we speak on your behalf to the king or to the commander of the army? She replied, I have a home among my people. So basically, Elisha's saying, you have been so gracious and so wonderful taking care of us. I can't just walk out of here without giving you something. What can I give you? What do you want? You want me to put in a good word to the king or to the commander of the army? Tell me what you want. And basically her response was, no, I'm good. I'm good. God's been good to me. We're good. I don't need anything. I'm just here to serve you. But watch this. Verse 14, he still wasn't satisfied. So verse 14 says, what can be done for her, Elisha asked. Gehazi, the servant, responded, she has no son and her husband is old. Then a light bulb hit. Then Elisha said, call her. So he called her and she stood in the doorway. About this time next year, Elisha said, you will hold a son in your arms. No, my lord, she objected. Please, man of God, don't mislead your servant. She's saying, don't get my hopes up. My husband's old, we haven't had kids, and I've come to grips with knowing that I will never have a child. Don't you play with my emotions. Has anybody ever been to that point? It seems like too good to be true, right? And it's like, don't you play around with me, okay? She didn't ask for this, but yet he promised her, you're going to have a son. But the woman became pregnant, verse 17, and the next year, about the same time, she gave birth to a son, just as Elisha had told her. The son grew, and one day he went out to his father, who was with the reapers. He said to his father, my head, my head. His father told his servant, just like any father would, take him to his mother, right? After the servant had lifted him up, carried him to his mother, the boy sat on her lap until noon, and then he died. This son was promised to this lady that didn't even ask for it. Okay, this was an unexpected promise, unexpected blessings. Now that she has the son that was promised is now dead. I wonder how many of us have ever been in a position where we were promised something And it seemed like that same promise was taken away from us. You know, my wife and I, we got married 3 years ago, and we had 700 people at our wedding. And basically, our parents were so gracious to us, saying, we'll help pitch in, we'll help pay for the wedding, but you have X amount within your budget, so work within this price range. And we were so grateful for that. So we're trying to figure out what to cut, what to kind of spend lavishly on, what to do in trying to balance our budget. And so one of my good friends came up to me and said, Steve, I want to be a blessing to you, you know, and I'm not able to give you a wedding gift, but what I'm going to do instead is give you a sound system that you can use. Don't worry about renting out a sound system or anything. At this venue, the prices for renting out a sound system to accommodate that many people were literally between $5,000 to $7,000. And I'm like, don't play with me. You're getting my emotions up, right? You're gonna donate a sound system to us and free $5,000 to $7,000 in our budget? Are you kidding me? That's amazing. He said, I got you, Steve. I promise. I got you. 5 days before the wedding, he calls. Yeah, it's gonna happen exactly like the way you think it is. He calls me. Says, Steve, sorry, I gotta go to work, and I had to take my sound system with me. 5 days before the wedding. He says, I'm just giving you a heads up. 5 days of a heads up, that's not really a heads up. I'm in panic mode now. I mean, we were planning our whole budget around this promise, right? I wonder how many of us have planned our lives or planned our lifestyle or our budget around this promise that we thought we were getting, and all of a sudden, it doesn't come to pass. This is where this lady is facing right now. She was promised a son she didn't even ask for, and now she's stuck with a dead son. So watch what she does. Watch what she does. After this, verse 21, thank you. She went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, then shut the door and went out. She called her husband and said, please send me one of my servants and a donkey so I can go to the man of God quickly and return. Why go to him today, he asked. It's not the new moon or the Sabbath. That's all right, she said. Basically, she still hasn't told the husband that the son has died. The husband's confused. Why do you want to go see this prophet now? Why are you bothered? Is there a special occasion? It's not any holiday. Why are you going to see him? And she said, that's all, it's okay. It's all right. I still want to go see him. So she saddled the donkey and she said to her servant, lead on, don't slow down for me unless I tell you. So she set out and came to the man of God at Mount Carmel. When he saw her in the distance, the man of God said to his servant Gehazi, look, there's the Shunammite. Run to meet her and ask her, are you all right? Is your husband all right? Is your child all right? Everything is all right, she said. No, it wasn't. Everything was not all right. Her son is dead. Why did she choose to respond in this way? She chose to speak into existence what her faith has led her to believe. She said, even though I don't see the situation which I wanted to see, I trust that God knows what he's doing and everything's gonna be all right. I wanna encourage somebody this morning, when you came to church, I have an assignment from the Lord to tell you everything's gonna be okay, everything's all right. It may not seem like it, but just trust God. He knows what he's doing. He's been God for a long time and he's never lost a battle. He knows what he's doing. Everything's gonna be all right. Touch your neighbor and say, everything's gonna be all right. Everything is gonna be all right. So when she reached the mountain, verse 27, when she reached the man of God at the mountain, she took a hold of his feet. I wonder how many of us are going to God and taking a hold of God and saying, God, I'm not letting go until I see my miracle. I'm not letting go until I see my promise. You see, what she did was she said, I know that I came here with a problem, but I'm not leaving until I have an answer. And some of us, have a problem this morning, and God is encouraging you this morning to go to him and say, don't leave until you get your answer. So she held on to the feet of the man of God, and watch what happens. Watch what happens. Gehazi came over, the servant, pushed her away, but the man of God said, leave her alone. She's in bitter distress. But the Lord has hidden it from me and has not told me why. Verse 28. Did I ask you for a son, my Lord? This is her response. Watch this. Did I ask you for a son, my Lord? Didn't I tell you, don't raise my hopes? See, I was raised in Mesquite, so I have this imagination of how this woman responded, right? Didn't I tell you not to let my hopes go up? But yet you had the audacity and the nerve. Hold on, take my rings real quick. You hold up. Somebody better hold me back. Didn't I tell you not to get my hopes up? Someone's gonna get cut up in here, right? So watch this. Watch this. She is upset, which like any mother would be upset. Didn't I tell you not to raise my hopes? Elisha said to Gehazi. So this is basically what happens. Just for the sake of time, we're not going to read all the way through. But Elisha goes through these things, and he's pacing, he's frantic, he is panicking, he is wondering, what in the world do I do? I know that God told me that she's going to have a son. Now the son is dead, and she is very mad. She's very upset. So something has to happen. So what happens is Elisha takes his staff, puts it on his head to see if that would revive the boy. Doesn't revive the boy. The mother's like, your stick is not going to work this time. You got to do something better than that. Don't be trying magic, whatever. You need to pray. So Elisha prays. Elisha prays for the boy. The boy is still not responsive. This boy is not changed in activity. He is still dead. But watch what he does. It's very interesting to me. It's kind of weird, but we're going to get through this together, okay? Just trust me, okay? So watch this. Verse 34. Then he got on the bed, lay on the boy, mouth to mouth, eyes to eyes, hands to hands. Like I said, it's weird. It's okay. We're okay. He stretched himself out on him. Someone say stretched. 10% of y'all are paying attention. Okay, let's have everybody participate. Someone say stretched. As he stretched himself on him, the boy's body grew warm. Now you have a warm body, but he's still not alive. And so, verse 35 says, Elisha turned away and walked back and forth in the room, and then got on the bed and stretched out once more. He's pacing back and forth, like as if he's in distress, he's stressing out. How many of us are pacers? If you're in a stressful situation, you're talking on the phone, you may have a bill collector or something calling you. I told you I'm going to get you the payment as soon as I get my paycheck. Why are you stressing me out? Why are you calling me at work? Why are you calling my mom? You stop harassing her, whatever it may be. And you're stressing out and you're pacing back and forth as if an answer from heaven is going to drop in your lap as soon as you pace. Like the faster you walk, the faster you're going to get an answer. He's pacing back and forth. He's trying to figure out an answer, but yet nothing's coming. So he said, you know what? I'm going to try this stretching out thing one more time. You see, he's laid down the staff, nothing's happened. He prayed for the boy, nothing's happened. He stretched out over the boy, nothing happened. He's pacing, nothing's happening. So he decides to go back and stretch out on the son one more time. He was persistent enough to keep going and trying until he got an answer. So watch what happens now as he stretches once more. Elisha turned away, walked back and forth in the room, and then got back on the bed, stretched out on him once more. The boy sneezed 7 times and opened up his eyes. He's finally awake now. But the thing that we have to learn from Elisha was he did not have the spirit of quit. Some of us give up the first time we get a no. Some of us say, well, I guess it's not God's will. But my Bible tells me that every promise from God is yes and amen, and God is a God that he shall not lie. Some of us have been believing, have been hoping for some things to happen. And we haven't seen it come to pass. And so we come to grips with it and we tell ourselves, well, maybe that's not God's will. Maybe it is God's will. Maybe it is God's will for us to learn how to lean not on our own understanding, but to lean on the one that has created the entire universe and knows the answer to the thing that you're already stressing out about. You see, I love my father. My dad and I have an incredible relationship. But some of us have confused God with Santa Claus. Some of us come to God with the wish list. God, I come before you today. I want you to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Bless this, this, and this, and this, and this. Open the doors for this, this, and this, and this. Whatever it may be, we give him a list of things that we want. If I came up to my dad and said, and every time I talked to my dad, it was always because I wanted something, it wouldn't be much of a relationship. Instead, it would be a contract. Because the only time I'm coming up to him is when I need something. Let me encourage you that God is not looking for you to keep asking him to do stuff. Don't you already know? He already knows what you're going through. Maybe he's asking, can you spend a little bit of time with me? I took my dad out randomly last week and we just had lunch and he was very appreciative. He said, Steve, I really appreciate it. I know that you're a busy guy. The fact that you took time out of your busy schedule just to have lunch with me means a lot to me. When was the last time that we actually sat down and just sat down in the quiet place, in our secret place and said, God, I just want to be still and know that you are God. What is it that your desires are for me? Some of us feel like if we check off the to-do list as if it's a priority, okay, we got to go to church on Sunday morning, get that hour of Jesus time, and check, I'm good to go for the rest of my week. And we don't even talk to God until the next Sunday. Ladies, let's talk. If your husband decided to communicate and tell you how much he loves you for 1 hour per week, how healthy of a relationship would that be? I'm wondering how many of us have to go to that next level. Instead of just checking off a to-do list, I got to spend time with my Maker. I got to spend time with my Savior and my Creator. Just be with Him, acknowledge Him. Sometimes God wants us to keep coming back just so that we can seek Him more. You see, what Elisha had was the spirit of persistency. He wanted to be persistent until he had the answer. Some of us would give up on the first try. We prayed about it. It's not God's will. But I refuse to believe that our God is a God that just, first time, it doesn't work. Okay, it's not God's will. But I believe that every word that is uttered from Him, every promise for me, has to come to pass. But if I don't see the first time, how desperate am I to see that promise fulfilled in my life? Some of you guys may have some crazy promises that God has promised you, but right now it looks dead, and you've kind of made your bed. You've kind of said, you know what? I guess it's not God's will. Maybe one of your kids are strayed away from the Lord, and maybe it's a relationship that needs to be mended. Maybe your marriage needs to be restored or healed, whatever it may be. And you're like, maybe it's not God's will. But maybe it is. Maybe it is God's will for your family to be set free and healed and delivered and restored. Amen. Maybe it is God's will for your relative to be healed completely. But how desperate are we to go after God with everything that we have? You know, I'm so privileged to be the student pastor of this church, and I love our students. And a lot of times we deal with parents that come, Pastor Steve, they're in crisis mode. Pastor Steve, you've got to help my son. My son is strung out on drugs. He got a girl pregnant. He's fallen by the wayside. And I asked them, when was the last time you came to church? Let me get real with you guys. This is third service, right? I can get real with you guys. I had a drug problem. My parents drugged me to church every single morning. I did not have an option to go to church. Son, if you're living under my roof, these are my rules that you have to abide by. It's Sunday morning. That means the God that woke you up, you got to go and worship him and serve him. It's like nowadays parents have this scared mentality. Oh, baby, are you tired? Oh, honey, it's okay. You just go to sleep. They get up for school, don't they? What are we teaching our kids? Because what I've noticed is, Rock, I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying this. What I've noticed is the parents will only repeat what has been modeled in the home. Some of us feel like going to church once a month is consistency. We're regular attenders. We come once a month. If I had that same mentality in my workout, my wife and I we signed up for this workout a couple months ago, and we were like, man, we got to sign up. We got to go to this workout thing. And the first day that we started, my wife had to go to work, and so she was not able to make the workout, but I was able to go to the workout. I was working out. I mean, it was the hardest workout of my life. So hard I could barely lift my arms to grab the steering wheel. Has anybody ever been in that kind of pain, right? It's like, my goodness, I'm sore all over. And so after this first workout, don't judge me, okay? Don't judge me, okay? I know you guys will do the same. I went home. My wife's not home. She's at work, okay? And so I came home. I was like, man, that was the most brutal workout I've ever done in my life. Took off my shirt. I'm staring in the mirror, trying to find a six-pack. Trying to be like, where's my chiseled chest? I mean, I thought by the time my wife came back home from work, baby, you can get an Indian God that you've been praying for. It's right here, right? I mean, the thing is, listen, I signed up for the membership, but it's my obligation to attend the workout. Some of you guys have come to the class for membership, but it's your obligation to come to church. And some of us are expecting God to fix something within one service that we got ourselves a mess in our entire life. And some of us need to learn the practice of consistency, going before God until something happens. You know, I was born in the late 80s, but raised in the 90s, and there was this popular video game. If you're not familiar with it, I'm very sorry that you had a horrible childhood. But there's this video game called the Super Mario Brothers. Hey! And so when you die on a level, it's not like if I try to go through one level and I die, it's not like I'm just chunking the entire Super Nintendo out the window. It doesn't work that way. There is a button that says restart. Just because I died in one level doesn't mean it's over. Some of you guys spiritually are walking through this phase of life, and you may have stumbled, you may have fallen. That doesn't mean you gotta give up and throw in the towel. Sometimes you gotta hit the restart button and say, let's try this again. The God that has brought me this far has promised me never to leave me, nor forsake me. If you have a praise like that, I dare you to give him a 10-second praise right now for all that he's done and all that he's going to bring you through. Some of us have to go and be persistent and say, God, I'm not leaving here until I get the answer. I'm not leaving until my promise is fulfilled. God is a God that he shall not lie. And every word, every promise to you is yes and amen. It's your responsibility to grab a hold of it and say, I'm not letting go until I see the promise. Come on, give God a shout of praise. God is ready to move in your life. God is ready to do exceedingly and abundantly more than you could ever ask or imagine. But some of us have given up too soon. Some of us have given up too soon. Some of us have thrown our relationship away, say, God, I guess it's not your will for us to be married. We just threw it in the trash. Just because you go through some stumbling seasons doesn't mean it's over. Just because the promise may have died in your life doesn't mean it's not for you. God is encouraging you this morning with every head bowed, every eye closed, to press through, to keep believing, keep fighting, keep praying, keep having faith, keep holding on. God will never leave you nor forsake you. He is with you every step of the way. How much do you trust God? With every head bowed, every eye closed. I wonder who I'm talking to. You know that God has promised you some things. And you've come to grips with yourself and you kind of talked yourself into it and saying, you know what? It's not God's will for my life for this to happen. Maybe I heard wrong. No. You came this morning, and I came here with an assignment from God to tell you, believe again. Pray again. Have faith again. God has not given up on you. He has not forgotten about that dream. Whatever dream it is, that person can be healed. Your marriage can be restored. Your finances can be in overflow. Whatever your promise is, God has not forgotten about you. Don't give up, because he hasn't given up on you.